Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Kenneth Keys, and I'm a friend of the family. I've been given an awesome opportunity to give words of comfort, yet an impossible task to squeeze 40-plus years of friendship into a 3-minute time frame. I would be remiss if I didn't mention the Wood Street community, where Lee grew up, Lanier High School, and Jackson State University, and every person that Lee has touched in his amazing life journey. I met Lee in 1981 working at UPS. After talking for a few minutes, we both realized that we had a common interest. We loved music, particularly the elements, earth, wind, and fire. Lee was a part-time supervisor. I was recommended and promoted to part-time supervision because of Lee and David Abney. Does anyone know one of Lee's favorite television shows? Say it again. Andy Griffin. And when we grew up, we watched Dallas with J.R. Ewing. We grew up as friends. I call Lee and Tonya my hand-picked relatives. 40-plus years, we never had a rift between us, not even the wives. You know, blood relatives will cut up with each other. But what a blessing it was. Over the years, Tonya, Lee, my first wife, Tracy, and I grew up together as young adults, just trying to figure out work, life, and rearing our children. Lee loved his family with an unfailing love. I remember when Lee Jr. and Jamila were born. When Lee saw that he had a boy, Lee passed out cigars. It was so timely. Lee needed help because there was only girls in the household. We laughed later when talking about our girls. One day we were talking about money. Lee told me that Jamila said beauty cost. Now to the family. I've been on the front row as you are now. This loss was unexpected. Let me tell you what I do know. There will be days when you will cry. There will be days when you will reminisce. There will be days when you will cry and then start laughing. You will remember Lee's laughs, his sayings, his quirks, and his wisdom. Make sure your children know Lee's legacy. 2 Corinthians 12:9. God says, my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. I would like to share with you, in my opinion, the loudest verse in the Bible, but it's to comfort you. 1 Thessalonians 4:13 through 18. But I do not want you to be ignorant, brothers, concerning those who have fallen asleep, lest you sorrow as others who have no hope. For if we believe that Jesus died and rose again, even so God will bring him those that sleep in Jesus. For this we say to you by the word of the Lord, that we are alive and remain until the coming of the Lord will by no means precede those who are asleep. For the Lord himself will descend from heaven with a shout, with the voice of the archangels, and with the trumpet of God. And the dead in Christ will rise first. Then we who are alive and remain shall be caught up together with them in the clouds to meet the Lord in the air. And thus we shall always be with the Lord. And this is what Paul told us to do. Therefore, comfort one another with these words. To Lee Jr. and all the daughters, Your mom has love and wisdom from a woman's and a mother's point of view. Continue to be obedient to her. Take care of her. Wisdom is not a given, it's a gift. The Vance torch is passed to each of you. Your dad meant so much to me and so many others. Just look around. Be encouraged. Stay encouraged. Please let Jesus be your rock. The enemy, Satan, loves to cause confusion in general, but especially in families. There were no gray areas with Sheriff Lee Vance. He let his yea be yea and his nay be nay. We pray that all officers carry on the spirit of Sheriff Lee Vance. He cared for his family, his community, the city of Jackson, and people in general. We understand that your hands are full with plenty of challenges, but there is a way to be firm but fair. I believe led by example, you can too. Thanks, family, for allowing me to share these words with you.
Thank you so much to Mr. Kenneth Keys. And next we have others who knew Lee Vance best as friends, co-workers, or just lifetime colleagues. We begin with the first four. Jay Johnson, City of Jackson. Dennis Dupree, retired educator. Jacqueline Amos, Mississippi Democratic Committee. And Willie Jones, Women for Progress, if you come in that order.
Where's Sandra? Sandra, you messed me up with that song. That was my father's favorite song. As we continue to pray for this family, I'm going to ask you to pray for me as well, for this is the first of three services that I will be attending this week. As you see, my second mother, I never referred to her as my stepmother because she came into my life in 1976 as well. So I considered her my second mother. Her service will be Wednesday. 2 days ago, I had a cousin that also passed from the imaginary disease that we've lost so many to. That funeral is Friday. To the dais, Mr. Mayor, let me do this while I'm here. And I'll get you to hold that for me if you don't mind. If you drop it, I know it'll be coming out of your budget. The year was 1976. On the campus of Jackson State University, where students, especially incoming freshmen, would gather on the Gibbs and Green Plaza. You see, that was the site of the killings that occurred on Friday, May 15, 1970, when city and state police confronted a group of students who were protesting shortly after midnight. The police opened fire, killing 2 students by the name of Philip Lafayette Gibbs and James Earl Green, and I must say a Jim Hill high school student. No, he did not attend the 833. This incoming class of students were from all over the United States. Chicago, Detroit, Flint, Michigan, small towns of the Mississippi Delta, the Gulf Coast area, down around Alcorn for those students that wanted to come to these city lights that came to Jackson State, all around the metro area. Some of us were from the west side, north side, and of course the Georgetown and Midtown area of Jackson. We were all there to get an education and to hopefully graduate in a timely manner before our BEOG money ran out. And to also form friendships that we didn't realize at the time would last over 45 years. You see, some of us were quiet and reserved, and others, you could hear them coming a mile away. You see, Lee Vance was one of those that you could hear coming before you could see him, due to him yelling out, "Bulldogs in the house, 833 Lanier Bulldogs in the house." Well, those of us that attended Jim Hill High School would shout out, "No, the Tiger rules this mother." Okay. You're close to the addition, so of course we rule this. You see, for over 40 or 50 years, Jim Hill and Lanier had always been a friendly rivalry between the two schools. Mainly because until desegregation in the 1970s of Jackson Public Schools, these were the only two schools that folks that looked like me and Lee could attend. Prior to then, Lee Dan, make sure you knew what hood he was from. Before there was boys in the hood, there were us from the hood. Boys from the Addition, Shady Oaks, Georgetown area, Wood Street, of course. He was quite proud of where he was born and raised. Wood Street, he would quickly tell you, with a perfectly round afro and big bell bottoms, and all of us came to Jackson State with dreams and ambitions of making a lot of money and being somebody with a purpose after graduation in hopefully 4 years. It took some of us a little bit longer, but that's okay. We got our degree, doctor. Students like Magnolia Wade and Merle Purvis, they would have the audacity to think they could be on TV as newscasters one day. Folks like Victor Mason and Tyrone Lewis and Lee Dan Vance had the audacity to think they could become police officers in the city of Jackson. Some of us having the audacity to think they would be taking photographs of famous people and documenting important occasions for historical purposes. Lee and I had the opportunity to work together at United Parcel Service in our younger days. That's when we developed six-pack before six-packs became popular. You say Lee was there maybe a couple of weeks prior to me joining UPS, and told Lee, I said, "Well, man, I'm coming to work at UPS." And he said, what you gonna be doing? I said, "Well, Lee, I'm gonna be doing what you're doing." He said, "Okay." He said, "Well, I'm on the unloading area of UPS." I said, "Okay." I said, "Well, I start such and such a date, and I'll be there." He said, "Well, okay." So I get there, and Lee is there waiting on me, and he said, "Okay, well, so what you do once they load the feeder up, pull it back. Then, you know, you raise the top, and we were on the day shift. Noonday sort, Kenny. Noonday sort, and it was hot. So you're going into a trailer, a feeder, that's about 110, 15 degrees. And so they backed it in, and I'm standing there in front of one of the feeders and look around and ask Lee, I said, well, man, where my help? He said, oh, no, you got that by yourself. He said, but you from the hill, you can handle it. I was ready to quit then, but I was not gonna let Lee beat me out on that one. We worked there together for, I stayed about 4 years. And went on. My father had a photography business, and that's what I decided to do. Lee made an impact at UPS. A few years ago, the CEO that used to be the state, David Allen?
He was hub manager and then eventually became CEO of UPS.
CEO of UPS. So he was in town speaking a few years ago. Before he left, he made sure he got by the department to check on his old friend Lee. Now, this is a man worth, you can Google it, how much money he's worth, but he made sure he wanted to see Lee Vance once while he was in town. Tony and Lee, we would double date on occasions. Now, for you young folks that don't realize what that is, that's when two couples go out on a date. And you might go to the movies, go get something to eat, and go out to the movies. Well, we decided this particular night we were going to Meadowbrook Cinema 6. Now, we're talking about the 70s. So it wasn't a whole lot of us at Meadowbrook Cinema 6 at that time. And before I left home, my mom said, now, don't go there, get in no trouble in that area, Jackson. We got there, and we got our popcorn and drinks, and we're sitting there, and a hat came flying back toward us and hit Tony in the face. And I said, oh, Lord, we're going to get into a fight tonight. So Lee got up. I said, well, Lee, you need me to go with you? He said, no, I got this. Lee went down about 10 rows, and I told my dad, I said, Lord, I hope Lee, I hope we get a chance to see this movie. You know, we done paid about $5, $6 for this movie, so I hope we get a chance to see it. So Lee brought the fella back up, and he apologized to Tony. I'm sitting there praying like, Lord, this could have gone a different way. But Lee, at that time, showed leadership and diplomacy. We both moved on years, and 1987, he and I both started working at Jackson Police Department. Well, he started a class, 1987, August 30th, 1987. I started working in the identification unit September 4th, 1987. Next month will be 34 years for me. It's been a blessing to have been there that long. I've seen quite a few co-workers come and go. I called Lee. I said, well, Lee, I'm going to work for the police department. He said, what you going to be doing? He said, I know you're not getting in the police class. He said, I can't see you running through the hood trying to chase anybody. I said, no, I'll be doing something else. We often had good times talking about Jim Hill, Lanier. This was the big house. This is the big house. And Lanier, I might as well say it, Lanier owns it. Jim Hill, we won a championship in 2012. And we won our state championship in 2012 and won the game. And I was down on the floor, had my gold, sport coat on, and Lee was somewhere in the stands. And he told me later, he said, man, I saw you running around like Jimmy V. You were looking for somebody to hug and couldn't find anybody. So later on that next week, Lee called me up. He said, He said, man, you all, congratulations, you all won the championship. I said, okay, good, good, good. He said, but you got about 6 more to go before you catch Lanier, 833. I said, well, that's fine too. And then he went on to show me his, whatever that is that you all do. I said, well, that's all right, I got something. He said, well, you all don't have anything that you throw up at Jim here? He said, what's your address? And I'm like, I don't know. I said, I can't tell you. I said, we're on Fortune Street. So I got smart and I went back to the office and I printed something out that had the address on it and went back upstairs and I said, see, this is where I'm going to throw up. So by the time he finished laughing at me, I was probably back in the office. He was laughing that loud and that long. I had the opportunity to watch him maneuver his way up the ranks the right way. As sergeant, lieutenant, commander, assistant chief, appointment to chief of police in 2017. Lee knew that due to hard work and determination, you would make it. Nothing is going to be given to you or passed to you. If it is, you don't deserve it. He also knew there were people before him that paved the way in so many ways. During his tenure as chief, he started recognizing those persons, such as former Governor William Winter, former JSU coach W.C. Gordon, civil rights icon Charles Evers, legendary newscaster Bert Case, and I believe his most cherished one was to former JPD officer Joe Louis Land. And I will read you what was on that particular award. It said, to Officer Joe Louis Land, in recognition of being the first African-American City of Jackson police officer, therefore setting the path for other African-Americans to join the police department, many of whom have obtained the ultimate rank of Chief of Police. We hereby acknowledge your determination, heroism, and audacity, diversifying the thin blue line. Therefore, transcending a history of biased hiring of law enforcement professionals in the city of Jackson, Mississippi. Presented by the Jackson Police Department, Chief Lee D. Vance, April 27, 2017. You see, this is who Lee Dan was. A person that was dedicated to his profession, showed compassion and empathy, and most importantly, Lee had something that you can't go out to Dillard's, Delp, or even order through Amazon or UPS. And that is the level of respect that people had for him. Your father, your grandfather was a good man, one that you could be proud of. He made sure you had the right stuff before he left this old world. You all were blessed to have had the opportunity to spend time with him. You see, I never got a chance to meet my grandfathers. I want you to cherish those moments that you all spent together, for that they are truly special. If I can get everyone to free your hands for a minute. And I'm trying to figure out how to lead do that. Some of you Lanier folks, how you doing? 833 for life. 833 for life for Lee Dan Vance. You will be missed. You will truly be missed. I'll share this with you. Just recently we had the Olympics. And during the Olympics, you know, Lee was a football and track star. During the Olympics, you have your relays. And it's time for me to go here. During the Olympics, there's a relay race. And during those relay races, if the baton is not passed correctly, you will either lose the race, forfeit the race. Lee started a race. And let's make sure the baton is passed to the right person to continue his race that he started. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jay. And we want to ask our others who are coming forward to please keep your comments to 2 minutes.
I guess Jay talked so much about Lanier, I don't know what I need to talk about, but that's what they always say. Everyone want to be from 833. It's all right. Good morning. It is an honor to be here today representing the Lanier High School Bulldogs, class of 1976. I want to thank the Vance family and my classmates for giving me this opportunity. I'm Dennis Dupree Sr., member of that 1976 class. Lee was my friend, and he was as close as my blood brother. In case you're not familiar with us Lanier Bulldogs, we are members of the 833 Nation. 833 is the address of Lanier High School. Lee was so especially proud from being from 833. He shared his friendship with so many of us and so many of you. That is the kind of man he was. He's leaving us, has dimmed his light, but it has not gone out. He left such a trail and a legacy. We are here to celebrate his lifetime and his contributions and to honor our friend. In these few minutes, it would be impossible for me to tell you all he meant to me and to us. Lee did not just become a leader in his adulthood. Lee led all his life. Lee was our class president. There was something about him that just stood out. He could talk with anyone, get along with anyone. He could make you laugh. He could make you believe that anything was possible. He carried himself like a leader in a way that made all of us classmates and his family proud. He wore his uniform with pride, and boy, did he make us proud. He loved his family. He loved his city. He could have gone anywhere and excelled. He chose to stay in his hometown and work to make the place he loved better. Lee and I was friends since our early teens. We hung out on Wood Street where he grew up and in Georgetown where most of us came from. Lee and I became closer and closer as the years went by. Though we lived in different cities most of our adult lives, the distance never made a difference. It strengthened our bond. We visit, call, text, any time of day or night. We were football teammates, partners, groomsmen in each other's wedding. Lee looked after my children when they came to Jackson to attend Jackson State. I'm sure many of you can say he did the exact same thing for you. He was that kind of a protector. Lee never focused on the dog situation. He instead focused on what he could do to make it better. Lee and I had just spoken on the phone on July 31st. He did not complain about his situation. That was who Lee was. I just knew he would bounce back. As I thought back on August 3rd, my 63rd birthday, I could feel that it was different. Lee had not called or text.
It's all right, brother.
As he always did on my birthday. The next morning at 11 o'clock, August 4th, 2021, I got a call from Mel, our classmate. Telling me Lee had answered God's call. I believe Lee knew his absence would leave us in a dark place. I could feel him telling us not to stay and dwell in the darkness. He would want us to go on with life and work on the things he cared about. He would want us to love on each other more, check on each other a little more, and hug each other a little tighter. Looking around at all of you who have your own special memories of him to hold on to, I know that his light is still shining, though it seems dim right now. His light is not out. He left so much brightness in our lives. If we just remember him and all he stood for, his light will continue to shine through each of us. I will miss my friend. My brother. I would hold on and cherish each special memory. I encourage each of you to hold on to every special memory of Lee. The void left because of his passing only dims the light. Lee would expect us to hold on and brighten a new path along the way as he did. As I prepare to close, I would like the 833 class of 1976 to all stand for a few moments as I spell his name with adjectives that describe him best. L is for loyal. E is for exceptional. E is for empathy. V is for vigilant. A is for ambitious. N is for neighborly. C is for committed. E is for encouraging. His name speaks volume. Rest in peace and power. You are our chief, our sheriff, our friend. We would always love you. 833 class of 76, you may be seated.
Wow. This morning I stand before you not only as your Democratic National Committee representative, but I represent various organizations in our community, all of which Chief Sheriff Lee Vance was loved and respected by. The Hinds County Democratic Executive Committee, the Federation of Democratic Women, the Jackson chapter of the NAACP, the Mississippi Immigrants' Rights Alliance, the Metro Jackson chapter of the National Congress of Black Women, and behind me, Ms. Willie Jones will speak for Women for Progress. The 601 Chargers thank the 833 Nation and the entire Lee family for sharing Chief Sheriff Lee Vance with us. There are a few things which are very meaningful to me that I want to share with you about Lee. And Aaron will not have to come and get me, I promise. I still call him Chief. was an amazing and loyal friend. One thing I want that continues to go over in my mind is the day he saw me in uniform. I was wearing brown then. He was with the Jackson Police Department. He walked up to me and he said, "You look all right." Wrong colors right now, but you look all right. I said, "I got you, Chief. I hear you. I promise I hear you." And he would always check on me. I believe the moment he saw me in full uniform with that badge, he thought, "Lord, what have they done?" I think that's what he thought. He would call, send a text, send messages, and was just an amazing soul. He had a way of manipulating politics without being political. Those of you elected officials that are here, people that worked and served under him, I believe you know what I mean by that. Chief did what was necessary, and he did it in his way. He did it the right way. He was loyal, he was committed, and he loved us. He loved the city of Jackson, he loved Hinds County. He was the embodiment of the expression that when a person shows you who they are the first time, believe that's who they are. Believe that's who they are. And he was every bit of that. When he was quarantined, we spoke either voice, by phone, or text. And every single time he would say, "I'm feeling good. I'm feeling better." And he never, ever neglected to say, "Thank you for checking on me." And I said to him, "I'm going to stop calling you so much now. I know you need to rest, but I just need to make sure, just want to make sure you have everything you need." He said, "My children got me taken care of. I'm good." I said, "Chief, if you ever want a taste for some pasta or anything, just send me a text. I'll get it. I'll leave it at the front door." He said, "I bet you would." I said, "I would. I will." You know why I would have? Because I know he would have done it for each and every soul out here today, including myself. I'm blessed to be able to say that I gave Chief his flowers while he was here. That is the one thing, the one very thing that has kept me going through these last few days. We always say, make sure, you give those people that you love, that you admire, that you respect, give them their flowers while they are here on this side. On this side. And I did that. I made sure that I let him know every time we spoke or in messages, and I have looked at those messages over and over and over again. And I'm proud to be able to say that that is what has carried me and what is carrying me, because before the Lord called him, he knew where he stood with me, and I knew exactly where I stood with him. So before going to all of that, I remembered the day he stepped down from the Jackson Police Department. I called him. He answered. I didn't expect him to answer right away because he had just done it. It was brand new. And before I could say anything, he said, this was one call I knew I wasn't going to get out of receiving. I knew I was going to get this call. And I said, "Are you good?" He said, "I'm good. I'm good." I said, "Chief, promise me one thing. After you've rested up, let me know when you're ready to leave the county." He said, "Why am I not surprised? That would be the first thing that comes out of your mouth." I said, "Because we need you." He said, "I'm here. I'm not going anywhere." And he did just that. And overwhelmingly, Hinds County elected Chief to be our next sheriff, to serve as our sheriff. And he did so with so much dignity. His leadership is unprecedented. and we are and will be forever grateful. I'm going to leave you with a quote. It's one of my favorites that I really hold dear to my heart. And I hold it to my heart, and when I read it, I will leave and I'll walk away from the mic. And I'd like for each of you to think about this. Tupac Shakur said, "Measure a man by his actions fully from the beginning to the end." Don't take a piece out of my life or a song out of my music and say this is what I'm about, because you know better than that. Chief Sheriff, we love you. Rest in peace. And we'll see you on the other side.
God at everything, the one who loves, one who cares, the one in him we are never alone. Mr. Vance was our friend and was our champion. All the members of Women for Progress, wherever you are, wherever you sit, past and present, will you stand with me and help me honor and give tribute to our champion? He was transparent in all of the dealings with us. He never failed to answer our call. He was a champion for us, gave us security and gave us safety. And in him, we felt safe. A resolution of appreciation for Mr. Lee Vance, a servant leader. I'm Willie Jones, President of Women for Progress of Mississippi. Women for Progress of Mississippi, Inc. honors individuals who distinguished themselves through their selfless commitment and sense of mission to become a catalyst for change. Therefore, today, Women for Progress will pay tribute to an individual who will be listed on our Stroll of Honor. Whereas Mr. Lee Vance chose to provide law enforcement leadership to the city of Jackson and Hinds County, Mr. Lee Vance has worked to serve and protect the citizens and businesses of Hinds County, serving and leading in top leadership roles of both the state's largest city and county in the state of Mississippi. He has supported the youth in our communities, supported beautification of our county, and has been the epitome of community policing. His leadership has provided a legacy and an example of courage and care for the Jackson community, providing a blueprint for the lawmen who will follow him and for those lawmen he served and led. Whereas Mr. Lee Vance served over 30 years with the Jackson Police Department, ascending to Chief of Police and serving in his position from 2014 to 2017, Mr. Lee Vance became Hinds County Sheriff in 2019, bringing his leadership, his experience, and commitment to Hinds County. Mr. Lee Vance was a bright light in the city of Jackson and Hinds County, demonstrating an unwavering commitment to his residents through his lifetime of work, ensuring the public safety. He worked to create strategies and coordination with local, county, and federal bodies to make the city of Jackson and Hinds County safer. We lift Mr. Lee Vance up as a trailblazer, a father, and community friend. Mr. Lee Vance has shown himself to be a role model of strength, courage, and leadership. We applaud his commitment and support of women and families. As a cheerleader and a champion of communities. Whereas Mr. Lee Vance was an astute lawman whose skills and resources empowered the community in which he lived, worked, and served. For training and supporting a law enforcement that will continue to serve our communities. Resolved by common and unanimous consent, the Women for Progress of Mississippi, Inc. recognizes Mr. Lee Vance and present this resolution of appreciation for exemplary service to the city of Jackson, Hinds County, and the state of Mississippi. We approve and adopt this resolution the 14th day of August, 2021. And with me today, the member of Women for Progress, Pastor Tanya Ware, Executive Director of the Women's Business Network and the Mississippi Gospel Music Association Female Vocalist of the Year, will come and represent Women for Progress in song and give you comfort. When peace like a river attendeth my way, when sorrow like sea billows roll, whatever my lot, thou hast taught me to say, it is well, it is well with my soul. It is well with my soul. It is well, it is well with my soul. Oh, it is well with my soul. It is well, it is well with my soul. It is well. Cover the city of Jackson, Jesus. It is well with my soul. My soul.
Thank you so much to our first four who offered expressions. As the next four and others come forward, we want to please remind our speakers to keep it to 2 minutes. It's a very long day for the family. Very long day for the family. And we know everyone loves him, but we want our expressions to be for 2 minutes. The next four: Alan White, Tyree Jones from the Hinds County Sheriff's Department, Alan White, the Undersheriff, Tyree Jones, Captain, followed by Robert Graham with the Hinds County Board of Supervisors, and Jacqueline Anderson, former Chief of Staff for the City of Jackson.
Good morning.
This is a difficult time for me. Please bear with me. I want to first and foremost say thank you to the family, the beloved family, the precious family, the Lee Vance family. Thank you for having me up here. You know, I thought about this speech ever since I was invited to do this. I wrote out some scripts. I just cannot put my thoughts on paper and talk about Lee Vance. I can't do it. It's too much. So what I want to say is thank you to, what a beautiful venue here. What a beautiful venue. Mississippi Ag Commissioner Andy Gibson, he says, you know, the Coliseum belongs to Lee Vance and his family if you need it. I said, Lord, we're going to need it. There's going to be a lot of people. Thank you to him. Thank you to the elected officials. Thank you to the dignitaries, law enforcement family, co-workers, friends. You know, I keep asking myself why. It wasn't supposed to be like this. He would tell me all the time, we come in together, we're going out together. But you know, I don't need to know why. It's not for me to know why. I know we shared a special bond together. I don't know what he saw in me, but I was always there with him as his number 2 at the police department. He went home for a short period of time, and yes, Andy Griffin was his favorite show. Along with Maury Povich, he says, you know, Alan, I cannot hear one more time, he is not the father, or he is the father. So I say, Chief, I say, you need to get back in the game. And guess what? He got back in the game. The people put him in as sheriff. He loved being sheriff. Fridays would be our ride days, for those who do not know. And the rest of the days, after hours, we worked. We worked our tails off. But on Fridays, he wanted me to grab Deputy Chief, Chief Deputy Wall, and myself, and the 3 of us would get in that vehicle, and we would ride 877 miles of this great county. He wanted to learn the county. He would see people in the yard. He'd say, stop the truck. That was Lee Vance. He had to get out and talk to everybody. He knew everybody. And I promise you, if he was in this room today and you heard that laugh, you would know Lee Vance is in the building. You would know that laugh. I mean, it was a laugh, a scream, a cry. I don't know what you would call it, but he had it. He had it. And he would often tell me, you know, I don't have to be the smartest one, but I will outwork anybody. And true that. He said he had a sideline job all the way until he was elected sheriff. He worked day and night. I can remember Miss Glory. I don't know where she's at in here. I cannot count how many times the phone would ring, people would call, they would want him to come give a speech at a block party, a community meeting. They wanted Lee Vance there. He would tell Miss Gloria, check my calendar. If I could be there, put me down. He worked day and night. I learned what Wood Street was. I learned where his mother's house was. We would ride by there every Friday. I learned Lanier. I learned this. See, I would do it on purpose, not throw this sign up and all, because I come from Jim Hill. But he would throw, you know, do the 833 and all, and I'd mess it up, and I'm not going to tell you what all he'd say, but we got preachers in the house. But he loved Jackson State. Let me tell you what comes along a perk with being police chief or sheriff. When a president or first lady comes, you get an opportunity for a photograph, a complimentary photograph. So in the past, he would say, oh, White, you go get Bush, or you get First Lady Laura Bush. Trump coming. You know you got that one. Let me tell you about First Lady Michelle Obama. So I found out she's coming to speak at the Jackson State graduation or something. I knew where this was going, so I say, Chief, you know I got this one, though. He closed the door on me. He loved Michelle Obama, and I told him, I said, now, you know, Barack will come down here if you don't act right in those black SUVs, and we all going back up there to D.C., and we're going to have to answer to this. But I'm going to tell y'all, and I'm going to keep it short, I promise I am. You know, I had the COVID, and then I went out with double pneumonia in the hospital. My friend had COVID, and we would still text and talk on a regular basis, as sick as he was. I want to thank the Chief Deputy, Eric Wall, and both of our absence. We stepped up. We never missed a beat. We never missed a call for service. He loved Hinds County. He loved being the chief of police, and he loved being the sheriff. He loved the motorcycles. He always wanted to have the biggest motor unit in the state. When we came, we had 2 running and 2 in the shop. October the 1st, we're supposed to buy number 12, correct? I'm going to say this in closing, family. We're still family. We will always be family. Love one another. Lift each other up. Help each other. We're only here for a short time. The Lord reached down and tapped Sheriff McMillan on the shoulder and took him. Earlier this year, he got Sheriff Mason. I don't know what's wrong with these Hinds County folks up there, but back up, August 3rd was en route. Can you imagine the stories they're telling? He was my mentor. He was my boss for many, many years. And above all, he was my friend. God bless you. Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
First of all, to this beautiful family, Miss Tanya, Toya, Trina, Pookie, Dolores, Lil Lee, the siblings, the grandchildren, the many, many friends that have gathered here from near and far to come to share with us this occasion for the homegoing celebration of Mr. Lee Vance. Mr. Lee Vance meant a lot to me. I posted a tribute on Facebook shortly after his death, and I won't go through all of the details of the post that I made. But I remember speaking vividly about the moment that I noticed Lee Vance when I was a kid in high school. After graduation, I would go on to college. Later, I would go on to become a Jackson police officer at the age of 22. I was assigned to Precinct 2, doing my first assignment with the police department. A few years later or so, we learned that Lee Vance, an individual that I had admired for many years, was coming to be our precinct commander. I remember the joy and the happiness that I felt knowing that a person that I had admired for so long, I would be working so closely with. It was shortly after he got there that Lee Vance noticed something in me. He trusted me, and I was in a position where I definitely trusted him as well. He gave me opportunities throughout my career with the Jackson Police Department. He put me in places I had never imagined being during my tenure with the Jackson Police Department as well. There were times in life when I had failed. There were times in life where I had made some bad decisions. Lee Vance stood by my side. Lee Vance supported me. Lee Vance made it perfectly clear that I was like a son to him. But he also made it perfectly clear that if he had to deal with me, that he would. And he has done that in the past. That's no secret. And I take it with all the respect and love that I had for him. I can remember a time where I had failed Lee Vance.
And I remember just like yesterday, he called me in his office and we had a long discussion. I also remember departing and going home that particular day. Before I could get in my house good, Lee Vance was calling me to check on me to make sure that I was good. That's the type of person and that's the type of individual that I call a mentor and a friend to me. He is someone that loved his family, but he put God first. He loved his community, and you would never, ever see another person, another law enforcement leader, or any elected official that exemplified the passion that he did for the city of Jackson and Hinds County after being elected sheriff. He trained me on some things. He gave me opportunities. He taught me how to speak. He also taught me how to tell the truth and be honest to the public. Make sure that I was transparent. Make sure that the information that I shared and that I translated to the public was accurate information. But outside of that, again, Lee Vance was a friend to me. He was a father figure to me. I appreciate everything that he did for me. I promise to keep this brief. I didn't have a speech prepared, but before I go, I did prepare my last press release because many times I spoke and I wrote on behalf of Sheriff Lee Vance and then Police Chief Lee Vance. And it reads, "It's our belief in Christ that you're only absent in the body, but your spirit is definitely in the room today. My last public release is a note to you in your new home. You were appointed and confirmed as chief by the mayor and the city of council. You were elected sheriff by the citizens of Hinds County. Appointed, confirmed, elected. Your last assignment, you have been selected by our Heavenly Father to restfully guard the gates of heaven. We all know you'll do so with their welcoming smile and that warm laughter. There's a song that often comes to mind when I think of the relationship we had.
It's all right, bro.
It's by Eddie and Gerald Levert. Wind Beneath My Wings. I won't sing this song because of all the years we spent speaking and writing. Singing was never on the agenda. I'm thankful for that, probably on your behalf, but definitely mine. But the song says, did you ever know that you're my hero? You're everything I like to be. I can fly higher than an eagle. It's been an honor to be the wind beneath your wings these many years, my friend. Thank you, I love you, and I see you again in the Great Divide. Rest well, SO1. Your work is done here. Thank you.
To the Vance family and friends, to other elected officials, Mayor Lumumba, Lieutenant Governor Holzman, Speaker Gunn, to my distinguished colleagues, Supervisor Calhoun, Archie, Gavin, and McGowan, good afternoon. Today, we have gathered here to celebrate the life and the legacy of our dear friend, Sheriff Lee Vance. Lee was a great law enforcement officer. He was a role model to other law enforcement officers, and our law enforcement officer families that are here today, he was a role model to them as well. For over 20 years, Lee and I worked together at the Jackson Police Department as public information officers, where our relationship began and grew. We talked almost every other day. Once Lee retired from the Jackson Police Department and was elected sheriff of Hinds County, we continued to talk at least once a week, weekly. Lee Vance was my friend. He was always smiling or laughing. Lee Vance made me laugh. Lee was a genuine good person. Everyone knew where they stood with Lee Vance. You would never have to guess. To the family of Lee Vance, I wish it was something that I could say or do that would help ease the pain here today. Because today, our city, our county, our state, our law enforcement family, we all grieve with you. We are all grieving at the same time. Lee will be missed. His life and his legacy will be remembered. And his friendship will never be forgotten. His spirit will live on. Rest in peace, my friend. Rest in peace.
Greetings to the family of Sheriff Lee Vance, whom I still call Chief, members of the clergy, government officials, law enforcement officers, colleagues of the state of Mississippi, and friends. Today, I am honored and humbled to reflect on the life of a true servant and my friend, Chief Lee Vance. When his daughter Dolores first asked me to speak, my initial answer was, I don't think I can. Besides the fact I am a crier, I tell people all the time I'm more like my uncle, Dr. Anderson, that preferred to work behind the scenes than I am my dad, Doug Anderson, who is very comfortable being in front of the mic. But like both my uncle and my dad, I believe in being loyal to my friends till the end. So today I stand here for and with my friend. I actually met Chief Vance at a very young age through my uncle, John Whitehead, who was also a JPD police officer. However, it wasn't until I became Chief of Staff of the City of Jackson in 2014 that I formed a special bond with this giant of a man, and eventually he became one of my dearest friends. We bonded over our beliefs in friendship, trust, and loyalty, but most of all, our ability to find humor in every situation, program, or conversation. We pretty much acted dumb anywhere and everywhere. Between my facial expressions and Chief Vance's loud, ridiculous laughter, along with his inability to whisper, we would always draw the craziest looks from our boss, Mayor Yarber. But the mayor would just shake his head because he finally realized he really didn't want to know why. He believed in me, and I believed in him. He taught me how to have peace while under pressure and to never let them see me sweat. He taught me to treat folks how I wanted to be treated, and sometimes in my position, I had to treat them better than they treated me. I'm still working on that part. He was the person that I just had to talk to when I was worried and or concerned, but he was also the first face I looked for in city council meetings when I needed a laugh. Finally, when my dad passed away, a news reporter asked me how was I feeling, and I answered that I missed my dad more than I could ever imagine, but I was comforted because I believe the greatest gift a man can have in death is dying empty. That means he has poured out everything he had to give. He has lived his purpose. He has walked in his power, and he has fulfilled his destiny. This is something we all can only hope to achieve, and Lee Vance did that. He loved hard, he poured wisdom, and was always there when you needed him. He gave his all. So Sheriff Vance, thank you for believing in this little girl who moved back home, who had really big shoes to fill, but no longer had her daddy's voice to guide her. You saw what I needed you to see in me. You were my advisor, my confidant, my protector, my friend, and you will forever be my chief. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And our final three who will be offering words of expression today: Thomas Hudson, President, Jackson State University; Tony Yarber, former mayor, City of Jackson; and Shoke Antar Lumumba, our current mayor of the City of Jackson.
Good afternoon. To the family of Lee Vance, Lieutenant Governor Holtzman, Speaker Gahn, Mayor Lumumba, members of the dais, distinguished law enforcement guests, friends and loved ones. I'm listed in the order of service as Thomas Hudson, President of Jackson State University. But I humbly stand before you as a lifelong resident of Hinds County and the City of Jackson. And as such, I can't help but mourn the passing of a giant in this community. But I rejoice because of how he lived, how he impacted so many lives. I had the pleasure of meeting him several times, but before he ever knew me, I knew him. I knew him as spokesman for JPD, whose reassuring presence on camera just made you feel that no matter the circumstances, things were under control. I knew him as police chief and sheriff, who made us all feel safer just by being in that role. You know, when I met him for the first time as acting president, I admit I was a bit intimidated. Me, this youngest guy, new in this role, and him as this great man that I've admired for so many years. You know, there's a picture of us of that meeting in the obituary, and you know, I promise you I was trying to look the part and not doing such a great job. But there was something he said in that meeting that struck with me. He looked at me and said, you know what, we need a young guy like you who can do this job for the next 30 years. And I was just trying to get through the next 30 days. But he could say that because he had already done it. And what a wonderful example he set for me and for many of us. May God bless his memory. But before I close, I must say it once. Jackson State University, D I love. And Sheriff Lee Vance, him we truly love, now and forever. Thank you. May God bless each and every one of you.
Bishop, Honorable Speaker Gunn, Lady Holtzman, Honorable Governor Holtzman, Honorable Mayor Lumumba, Lady Lumumba, Under Sheriff White, and Madam Program Guide. Great afternoon to you and to this family and those of you who are sitting on the dais. Being the mayor of Jackson isn't as easy as Mayor Lumumba makes it look. And if you don't believe me, ask me. I found myself in the summer
2014 needing a police chief. And I knew that I needed somebody that I could hear. And in order for me to hear him, I needed to be able to trust them. And in order for me to trust them, I needed to be able to respect them. And so I realized that respect is earned through the consistent integrity of the work product of our lives. And ever since I was a teenager, Lee Vance has been the same brother. Lee Vance was always solid, and solid to the degree that he was able to bring a presence in the room that was able to make everything all right. He brought a wisdom in the room that gave us the ability to know that whatever he said to us, whether we liked it or not, that we could be assured that it was the best advice in the room. He was the best political decision that I ever made. I remember one time we were preparing the budget, and I'd allowed Jackie and them to talk me into cutting some of the police budget. Y'all got to get better people around you. And Chief Vance came in the room, and he was red. And I had never seen him like that, at least not with me. I've seen him act like that with other folks. And he said, "Man, you trying to cut my knees out from under." And I was like, "We ain't got no money." He said, "Well, you ain't tell me that when you offered me this job." And I said, "Well, you over there, I thought you know." I said on TV the other day that you honor giants with giant movements. And I believe that this is beyond simply naming a building. But the movement that's got to happen in this city is the movement that allows us to take on the same attitude about service that Lee Vance had. The giant movement that has to happen on behalf of his legacy is one where we all realize that we ain't nothing without each other. The giant movement that has to take place is one that says that the only way that we're going to do this and the only way that we're going to be successful is if we do it together. So I don't want to hear you say that you're a friend of Lee's, but you spend time fighting each other. I don't want to say you're a friend of Lee's, but what we do doesn't display the public service attitude that he displayed. I don't want to hear that. Because Lee's integrity went beyond the myriad of messiness that is in politics. Because he held the heart of the people in his hand. Former Mayor Chokwe Lumumba would say that if you don't love the people, you surely will betray the people. And the reason that we're all here today is because the man never betrayed us. It's because the man never let us down. John 1:46, Nathaniel was addressing the fact that he had heard about an amazing brother named Jesus. But his problem was he could not believe that Jesus came from a town called Nazareth. And he says, "Can any good thing come out of Nazareth?" Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I stood up here to ask you this today. Can any good thing come off of Wood Street? Can any good thing come out of Georgetown? Can any good thing come out of Lanier? Can any good thing come out of Jackson? Well, I come to declare to you today that he is the embodiment of who Jackson is, and his name is Lee Vance. Vance, you ought to celebrate knowing that God gave you the privilege of knowing a giant in your lifetime. Would you celebrate God for the opportunity that he gave each of us, for knowing one of the greatest men that you are ever going to know in your lifetime? And I repeat, his name is Lee Vance.
Praise the Lord, church. Let me try that one more time. Praise the Lord, church. Mayor Yarber, thank you for warming up the crowd for me. I appreciate that. Protocol having already been established, I'd like to express my gratitude to the family for giving me the privilege, the honor of standing here to share a few words about, for some of us, our sheriff, for some of us, our chief, for you, our father, our companion, our brother, our classmate, our friend, and the list goes on and on and on. Sheriff Vance, if I take the words that have already been expressed, if I look through this beautiful obituary, Sheriff Vance was love. He was the embodiment of what it means to love one another. He was a reflection of the love that we should all have for one another. Just looking through this obituary and looking throughout the many phases of his life, it is apparent that we are all connected. For some of you, I'm going to have to talk to you about some of the pictures in this obituary. But this is a tribute that is befitting his life. Because he had one of those unique spirits that made us all feel connected to him. Each and every one of us can recall an experience that we had with him. We think just about how he sewed a little bit of his personality into each and every one of us. To his family, I want you to know how much Sheriff Vance truly loved you. I remember not only various conversations that I had with him, but some of our most recent conversations, and each and every time I spoke to Sheriff Vance, he was bragging on you. He was just recently, and I'm going to keep it real, I know that the legal name is Jamila, but he was bragging on Pookie, right? He was bragging on Lee Jr. So you all, I will share with you that I understand the unique experience of living in the house with your hero. I will share with you the quote that Lee Jr., for a son only holds his father's hand for a brief moment, but he holds his heart forever. I want you all to reflect and think about each and every experience you had with him and be proud of the legacy he has established for you all. For the city of Jackson, I don't know that there is a more befitting honor for us to have our police department bear the name of Lee Vance. I am going to be brief with the remainder of my remarks, but I do have to express my experience and some memories I will hold dear. As I thought about this moment and what I would share with you, I thought about my very first National Night Out. and how, you know, it was a unique experience to me, and I enjoyed it, and Sheriff Vance was riding in the caravan along with us. And somewhere along the way, it became this competitive battle between Lanier High School and Callaway High School, right?
Always.
And so he would speak first, then I would come and speak to the communities, and he would tell me that's how Lanier does it, right? He would brag on 833 Nation, and I would tell him, yeah, 833 is cool for Maple Street, but remember that 601 runs the 601, right? And then I remember our last engagement where I must admit that he went one up on me. He told me, he said, Mayor, I hate to tell you this, but he said that when we're investigating a crime and we don't have available pictures for a lineup, we just simply present all of the Callaway High School yearbooks. I'll let him have that one. I'll let him have that one. But that's just who Sheriff Vance was. He was serious about his responsibility. He was serious about protecting the people of this city and of this county because he loved you all. He had an experience with each and every one of you, and it meant so much to him to protect you, to demonstrate that love and to demonstrate that relationship. I'll conclude with an analogy that someone gave me after I lost my mother, honestly. And I was reminded of it at the passing of my father. That analogy is that, imagine that you have no car. Imagine that you have no vehicle and you have a difficult time getting to and from the places that you need to get to. And you have a friend. You have a friend who recognizes your condition, recognizes your circumstance, and that friend says to you, I have an abundance of vehicles, and I will loan you one of mine. And so you have this car and you start to drive this car. You start putting your own personality into it. Maybe you get it painted. Maybe you put a little radio in it. And it begins to feel like it is your own. You're now able to get to the places that you need to get to, the places that you want to go to. And so that friend came to me and they asked me, they said, what would you do if that friend came to you and said, I need my car back? And they asked the important question. They said, what would you do? Would you get angry with that friend? Because how much of your personality you've put in this car, how much you've come to depend on this car. And that person said, would you get angry with them, or would you thank them for having the ability to have the vehicle in the first place? We are all the Lord's vehicles. And so we can't get angry with him when he calls home what is his to begin with. In this moment, as we reflect on our friend, let us be thankful to the Lord that he gave us the opportunity to have him in the first place. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much to everyone who offered those expressions. Next, we have a family tribute from his son, Lee Vance III, and son-in-law, Elliot Green.
I'm Elliot Green, and we got through all of the sobbing, and it's time for us to really take this opportunity to embrace. Take this opportunity to embrace a giant. I remember this parable about how God gave a servant talents. And I told Pookie, I don't know what I'm going to say until I see Pops. And I went to the Bible and I found it. And it's Matthew 25:14 through 21. And those that know the parable, you know that God gave talents based upon the ability of the servants. He gave 2 the talents, and they made trades, multiplied what was given to them, and the other buried his under the tree. Okay? So I'm going to use that in my speech about my pops. So what do you say to a God-fearing man that has a spouse that's price is far above rubies and was bound to him by the word and law, so as long as he lived? What do you say about a man that taught his children how to be model citizens and to love and protect each other? What do you say to a man that has ensured his siblings as well as his kids that he is still their Superman? Don't worry about him. What do you say to a man that has always been accessible to his community by being one call away, or just walk up or sit down and let's talk, which he used to do that at Josephine's kitchen. We call it the sheriff's corner. But what do you say to a man that has believed and displayed that the only reward to hard work is hard work? And he will constantly remind me and Lil Lee, can't take a break. What do you say to a man that has achieved the highest level of his profession, not once, but twice, as your former chief of Jackson, Mississippi, and your current Hinds County sheriff? What do you say to a man that has dedicated 30-plus years to protect and serve his community? What do you say to a man that has held those around him and himself accountable for their actions? What do you say to a man that was responsible for getting the JPD accredited? What do you say to a man that was faithfully loved by his 833 nation, the 833 classmates, the community, and his faithful Wood Street community? What do you say to a mentor he was a mentor to many, but in his daily walk exemplifying his campaign acronym, empowering, accountability, professionalism? What do you say to a man that has gained national recognition in life and in his passing? That answer is from Matthew 25:21. Job well done. And then God, it's job well done, thy servant. And from there has been a faithful commitment, with Pops. And from that parable, there was a piece in there that said, thou hast been faithful over a few things. And I said, okay, Jackson, city of Jackson, chief, that I will make you ruler over many things. Hinds County Sheriff Department. So as a top cop, you may not enter into the joy of the Lord. And to the family, Ma and, Trina, Pookie, Lois, Toya, Youngblood, Revelations 21:4. He will wipe away every tear from your eyes, and death should be no more. Neither sorrow nor crying, neither shall there be any more pain. For the former things are passed away. So let Pops, or Dad as we call him, let him take his risk as he ran a good race. Those that knew him knew that he was a man of patience. His words were short, direct. He was a convicted person. And to see him as he got ready to do the sheriff thing and he called Mr. White and Tyree, you know, I can only pray from what I watched him exemplify with you two guys is that you guys will continue to exemplify EAP through the sheriff department, and you guys will lead and direct Pop's legacy and carry on what he started, because you guys, he dropped all the jewels in every day. And we just pray that y'all keep Pop's legacy alive. Thank y'all.
God is good. And all the time.
God is good.
Before I start what I got to say, I need my brothers up here with me. They know who they are. I need my brothers up here. You ain't got a second guess, you know what's up. Right in the ear. Yeah, I gotta sit there. I mean that when I say my brother Terrell. I know we supposed to social distance, but we sitting shoulder to shoulder anyway. So we gonna line up right here. Yeah, basically the men of the family, Uncle Jesse, come on. We're gonna line up here. And as they come, the reason why I called him up here because he was all their fathers or their brother. You understand? I was blessed with 4 sisters. And so I was the only boy in the family, and I didn't have any brothers. Son, you come up here too, because you know what's up. So I get my son up here. But like I was saying, I was the only son in the family. You know, growing up with 3 sisters that boss you around all the time, you need some type of brotherhood, you know, especially Pookie. She run everything, you know. And, you know, every day, you know, we got a group text, and my sister Laura said, any one of y'all want to talk? Anybody want to talk? And say anything to her dad. Like, put me on there. And Pookie, like, I go back to Pookie, she was so concerned. You sure, Lil Lee, that you can get up there and do that? But I'm going to tell y'all something, man. I'm my daddy's son, you understand? And one thing about that man there, he was solid as a rock. And I mean that, he was solid as a rock, straight up and down. Didn't play no game. I'm 35 years old. And if he called me Lil Lee, man, I got goosebumps. How what I did now, man. You know what I'm saying? He the only man that can make me stand down at 35 years of age. So that's a giant. You understand? And you know, I never thought that I'd be up here speaking on my father's behalf. To be honest, I thought my father would outlive me because he felt like a superhero to me. He was the real Superman to me and my family. You understand? So I didn't never think that I would walk up in that house August 3rd, 2021, and find my father. But when I found him, he had a smile on his face. He had a real smile on his face. And, you know, I'm a human, so when I found him, you know, I went a little crazy, but I had to come to realize when I found him with that smile on his face that I knew he was up there with his mother and he was up there with Paul Hayden, because them the two that he loved the most, especially his mother. So, these men up here that I have standing with me, he has made a major impact in their life. And I have guys up here that didn't have a father, and he was a father to them. I have guys up here that have their father, but he still was a father to them, because they're the type of man that he was in our community in Jackson, Mississippi, and Hinds County. And, you know, I shed my tears. I cried and I cried till I couldn't cry no more. But the day my sisters and my mother was going through those pictures at her house, and I know that my father was here, because it was my first time hearing about what I'm about to tell you about, but I know if my father was here, we wouldn't seen that letter right then. And I think my sister and them already seen the letter, but I never seen it. And it was a letter that he wrote to my mother when he was in the police academy. And the first sentence said, "Tell Youngblood," to all those who don't know, I'm Youngblood. That's my original nickname. I know y'all might know me in Northside Lee on my alias side. A lot of folks know me. I'm just serious. Like, some folks might not know. I'm like, who a Youngblood? That's me. I got a tattoo right here, but seriously. And the first sentence said, "Tell Youngblood that I need him to take care of the house, and I'm dependent on him until I get back that Friday." And it also went on to say, "I also need you to be the strong, beautiful woman that you always have been, and hold the house down until I get back." And he was talking to my wonderful mother, Lee Vance, the rock of the family, the praying woman that she is. And once I got that letter, and once I went to my father's driveway and I talked to him, I already knew what I was supposed to do. I already understand what I have to do. And that's what I'm gonna do, which is take care of my sisters, my beautiful sisters over there on that front row, Toya Lois, Jamila, Trina, my beautiful aunt, which he loved to death. He loved his sister just like I love all my sisters. He expressed that when I made a mistake at that restaurant that day when we opened up. He called me and said, "Boy, you better make sure my sister took care of." Yes, sir. But I just want y'all to know, man, my father, my sisters, my whole family, we shared my father with you all. We shared my father with you all. You know, he was dedicated, solid as a rock to this city and this state. We shared them with y'all. When I got older, me and him would have had a conversation. I was probably, 33 years old. We wouldn't have had a conversation. And he asked me, he said, "Son, how you feel, man? Because I know that I worked a lot and I missed out on some things that I should have been there for. And I just want to know how you feel." And I looked him in his eyes and I told him, I feel the love that you always gave me, because I understand. As a man, you got to provide and protect. And that's what he did. So I'm not selfish at all, and my sister's not selfish at all. That not only did he protected us and guided us through life, but he always and forever protected the city and the state of Mississippi and Jackson, Mississippi, Hinds County, and that's what he did. So I got my brothers up here, Marvo, my son, Vance, all us. We know what we got to do. No ifs and buts about it. We got to lead like he led us. No doubt. And I know one thing. My name is Lee Vance, Lee Dan Vance III. And his name is Tristan Lee Vance, so that name gonna forever live. But I need y'all to do something for me right now. You can either throw up a W, or you can throw up an 833, and we gonna scream. I'm serious. I need y'all to stand up out your seats. Yeah. Stand up out your seats. Throw your 833 up, or throw up a W for Wood Street. Yeah. It is what it is. Everybody that really know him, they know he stood on God, family, 833, and Wood Street. No doubt. No. And he meant it. And I'm going to say this. When I was all on my high horse, trying to prove to him that I could be the man that he is, and I was around here growing up and trying to just show him, Pops, I could grind and go get my own. And when I fell on my hard times, that was always my crutch. And he still is. And I remember one day he told me, boy, never trust a man, but I'm gonna tell you one man you better trust in besides God, and that's me. And guess what? I'm gonna stand on that, and that's who I trust in, God and Lee Vance. 833 Wood Street to the death of us. And we're gonna stand on that. I appreciate everybody, all the condolences, everything from my family. Much love. And I must thank Tyree. Tyree, I appreciate y'all. I appreciate everybody, man. I appreciate everybody. But Tyree been every step of the way, so I can't forget that. Appreciate y'all.
And again, you see just how loved Lee Vance was. Next, we have acknowledgments from Credo Calhoun, the president of the Hinds County Board of Supervisors, followed by a presentation from Ms. Constance Hughes.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Yeah, I'm Credo Calhoun, and I'm just here to, I guess, make sure that we acknowledge all of the people that have participated in this homegoing. And the family would like to thank for all of the cards, all of the phone calls that you, even when you went by the funeral home, they appreciate you doing that and signing the book. It's just so very important to the family that you are showing all the love. We know that we lost a giant the other day, and I know the family has suffered through this. Not only that, Lee Vance has been a stalwart in our community over the years. And late at night, early in the morning at 3 o'clock, That's the type of position that he has held over the years. And Hinds County want to thank the family for loaning Lee Vance to us all of these years. We know the sacrifice that you have made. It is very difficult. We have the speaker here and the lieutenant governor. They can tell you that it is a difficult task. All the people see is the glitter, but it's very difficult. It's very difficult when you're serving the people. Sometimes you get kicked, sometimes you get praised. And I can tell you, when you get kicked, it hurts. And the family have to do what they do for the elected official or the official that's working for the public. That's the way it is. And I know that we have a lot of elected officials here, and the family want to thank you for coming out and to this homegoing. Now, I want the city elected officials, all of you, to stand. All the city elected officials, would you please stand and be recognized? I want the family to know all of the people that are here celebrating with them. Okay, thank you. All of the county elected officials, would you please stand? All the county elected officials. All the federal elected officials, would you please stand? All the ministers, would you please stand? And now I want all of the Hinds County employees to stand. If you're a county employee, would you please stand? And now, okay, would you have a seat? Now, all of the sheriff department, would you please stand? We're going to make sure that you recognize that our sheriff department is here. Now, thank you. I guess you'll have to stand again, because all of the law enforcement from around the state, would you please stand? All the law enforcement from around the state, would you please stand? Now I'm going to recognize my wife, Peggy Hodgson Calhoun, who's served as a supervisor for 28 years here in Hinds County, the first and only woman to be elected to the Hinds County Board of Supervisors, and also she was elected as the first black president of the Mississippi Association of Supervisors, and she's going to read the resolution that's going to be presented by the Board of Supervisors to the family. Peggy.
Okay, thank you. God and man exist for each other, and neither is satisfied without the other. The Hinds County Board of Supervisors venerates the life, legacy, and the extraordinary service manifested in the honorable character of Sheriff Lee Vance, Jr. Whereas the sun beamed in his life on June 8, 1958, and he traveled through this world for 63 years, with the sun setting on August 3, 2021, as the Sheriff of Hinds County, Mississippi. Whereas the dash between his birth and death date exemplified love for his family, how he lived, respect for individuals, his life's work, and his outstanding service to the citizens of Hinds County. Whereas throughout the course of Sheriff Vance's career, he was committed and dedicated to duty, and to his sworn oath of office to serve and protect the communities of Hinds County. Whereas Sheriff Vance earned the admiration and respect of his staff, employees, peers, counterparts, colleagues, city, county, and the state of Mississippi. Whereas Sheriff Vance lived by the highest standards of morality in performing his public duties, serving as a model of moral excellence and character that our children or anybody can emulate. Whereas Sheriff Vance was a strong protector, a true leader, a respected authority defending and protecting the security needs of the county he so dearly loved. Whereas Sheriff Vance's greatness will be remembered not for his power, position, or prestige, in which we all held in high esteem. He will be remembered for integrity, humility, exemplary service, and for the hundreds of thousands of lives he touched. Therefore, it is acknowledged that the Hinds County Board of Supervisors shares in the heartfelt loss and grief of sadness of the Vance's family. May there be some consolation of solace to Mrs. Vance, the children, the grandchildren, sisters, brother, nieces, and other family members. May there be some comfort knowing that God has accepted into his presence a good and faithful servant, Lee Dan Vance, Jr., the sheriff of Hinds County, Mississippi. Be it further resolved that the Hinds County Board of Supervisors bows to a greater will than our own, and in the knowledge that one day all who are saved will be united with Sheriff Vance in joy and in the fullness of God's grace and mercy. So resolved, this the 14th day of August 2021, the Hinds County Board of Supervisors. Credell Calhoun, President, David Archie, Vice President, Robert Graham, Supervisor, District 1, Vern Gavin, Supervisor, District 4, and Bobby McGowan, Supervisor, District 5.
Let's give a hand at that. Now, I would like for all of the supervisors, that's Robert Graham, David Archer, of course, Credell Calhoun, Vern Gavin, and Bobby Bobcat McGowan to present the resolution to the family at this time.
We want to also acknowledge that there were several entities that sent resolutions, proclamations, and other things for the family. And there's a stack of them, so many, because Lee Vance was so loved, and those will be presented to the family as well.